everybody, how's it going? This is Darrin with GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson. And today I want to show you how to play all the riffs and parts to The Ripper by Judas Priest. So this is a pretty cool song. It's got a lot of different cool little note sequences in it and stuff, with a lot of chromatic things, like lots of passing tones, so it's like really weird. I mean, technically a lot of it's like out of key and stuff, but it just sounds really cool. Classic song. So be sure to click on the link in the description for the tabs, and let's get close up and take a look at this. Alright, so starting off, we've got this little intro riff here that's actually played on its two guitars and it's harmonized, so we're just going to be doing the one part of it. So we start off here, we're on the 13th fret of the B string with my first finger, and we're going to go 13, 15, 16, and then back to 13. So, and then we're going to go to the 15th fret of the high E with your third finger. So when you're doing this, I'm using my first finger on 13, and then my third finger on 15, and my fourth finger on 16 here on the B string. You could use, just your first, second, and third, but I just like to do it this way because, well, you'll see why here in a sec. So I go 13, 15, 16, 13, and then to 15 on the high E, back to 16, and now back to 16 on the B string. And then we're going to go to the 14th fret on the B string with my middle finger. And then the last note is 16 on the high E, and I'm using my pinky. So the reason that's why I like to use these fingers is so I don't have to shift my hand position. So that's the intro, and then from there it goes into the verse, and the verse is super, super simple. It's just actually single notes. So it's all palm muted, and we're just starting off with the open fifth string, open A string. So we want to put an accent on the downbeat of 1, and then on the and of 2, and then the downbeat of 4. So it's like. So it kind of gives it almost like a triplet kind of a feel, but all you're doing is you're just accenting. You do an accent and then you do 2 without, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you have 2 measures of that. Then we're going to go to the 3rd fret of the A string, and you can just use, it doesn't matter, you can use your third finger or you could use your first finger, because from there it's going to go to the 3rd fret of the low E and then to the 1st fret of the low E. So. So that's like the first 6 measures of the verse. So with that open A string, actually that open A string part, it stays on that longer. It's 2 measures long, but it's repeated 4 times. So if like you listen to the song, you'll be able to tell. Third fret of the A string, and then this here, it's a whole measure, but on the downbeat of 4 and the and of 4, we switch to the 3rd fret of the low E. So. And then follow that with an entire measure of that 3rd fret of the low E. And now we're going to come down to the 1st fret, and then the open low E. And then from there, we go to just an A5 power chord. This A5 power chord here, so the A string is open. I'm using my first finger to bar the second fret of the D and the G string. And this is on the downbeat of 1, and then on the and of 1 and the downbeat of 2, you're just gonna mute, just dead notes. So what I'm doing there is I'm just taking my second finger and I'm second and third sometimes, just basically just to touch that A string, so that way when you hit, it's just that like percussive sound. So then we've got this little riff here. So I'm on the second fret of the G string, and I'm going to pick that and pull off to the open. So this is 3 and 4 and. So you pick, pull, and then on the downbeat of 4, you play that open string again, and then go back to the second fret. Then we go to a C5, so I'm here on the third fret of the A string with my first finger, and then the fifth fret of the D string with my third finger, and you can also do the fifth fret of the G string with your fourth finger, or just without it. Either way is fine. And that's a dotted half note, so it's like 1, 2, 3, and then for 4, we just move that shape straight down to the low E. So your first finger's on the third fret of the low E, and then again we can be on the fifth fret of the A with your third finger, and you can also add the fifth fret of the D string with your fourth finger if you like. And that's on the downbeat of 4, and then that's tied to a whole note on the next measure. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we come down, move that shape down a whole step, so we're F5 at the first fret. So my first finger is on the first fret of the low E, third finger's on the third fret of the A, and then your fourth finger can be on the third fret of the D too. And it's another thing in this song is it switches time signatures. So here we're in 3/4 time, so this is dotted half note, so it's 3 beats, 1, 2, 3, and then on the next measure we go to E5. So now the low E is open, and I'm just using my first finger to pick up the second fret of the A string and the second fret of the D string. And this is also 3 beats. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So. And then that's where it goes into this little sequence here of this little run. Well, not really a run, just a little riff. Now, like I said, this has got a lot of passing tones in it and stuff, so the way you have to do this with your fingers is kind of tricky, but in a way this is like a really good kind of workout for your fretting hand. So I'm starting here on the 7th fret of the D string with my fourth finger. And then I'm going to go to the 4th fret of the G string with my first finger, to the 5th fret with my second finger, and then back to the 4th fret. So just like that. So that's half of the first measure. Then we're going to go 5 to 7 on the G string, and then to 5 on the B string. So that is the first measure. Now, the other thing I forgot to mention too, like I said, this is all 8th notes. So 1, whoops, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, when I go to that note on the B string, I'm going to go with my first finger instead of my second finger because of what's coming next. Now we're going to go to the 8th fret of the B string, and I'm going to use my fourth finger, and then I'm on the 7th fret of the B string with my third finger at the same time because we're going to pick that and do a pull off. And then we go to the 7th fret of the G string, and I'm going to use my third finger. Then we go back to the B string, 6th fret. So my second finger is going to do that. My first finger is already here on the 5th fret because it's 6, 5, and then it's going to go to the 5th fret of the 3rd string and then to the 4th fret of the B string. So what I want to do here is use my second finger there. So this is kind of awkward. So that is the first 2 measures. So we have. All right, and then starting on the 3rd measure of that. So this is be measure 17 on your transcription. We do that same thing again as the first measure of it. So. And it repeats. And then it has this end. So after we go to that 4, now we shift down 1 fret. So our first finger's on the 3rd fret of the B string. And we're going to go to the 4th fret of the G string. And then back to that 3rd fret of the B string. And then the 5th fret of the G string. So. And then that's where it leads us into the next section. Okay, so this next section that begins on measure 20 is this little breakdown part. So we start off, we're on the 2nd fret of the D string with your first finger. And then you're going to go to the 4th fret with your 3rd finger, and then the 5th fret with your 4th finger. So it's 2, 4, 5, 4, 5, 2 on the G string with your first finger. Then we go back to the D string, 5, 4, 2, 4, 5, 4, 5, and then back to 2 on the G string. And this is all palm muted, so really slowly. So it does that twice, has a repeat there. And then what's going to happen is we're going to do this same thing. We're just going to move it up a half step. So now we're going 3, 5, 6, 5, 6, 3 on the G string, back to the D string, 6, 5, 3, 5, 6, 5, 6, 3. So it's the exact same thing, just a half step higher. And then, going on to measure 24, you guessed it, we just shift that up again. So now, on the D string, we're playing the 4th, 6th, and 7th frets, and then the 4th fret on the G string. Then we move it up a half step again, so now it's 5, 7, and 8 on the D string, and then 5 on the G string. Now, this is where it starts to change a little bit. So we go 5, 7, 8, 7, 8, 5 on the G string, back to 8, 7, and then we shift up again. So we do that same sequence we did there, but we're going to move it up a half step, so now it's 6, 8, and 9. Now we shift it up again, and we're going to go 7, 9, 10, 9, or 7, 9, 10, 9, 8. So it's just 7, 9, 10, 9, and then we move up a half step. So that whole thing, slowly. Repeats. Shift up. All right, and then from there, we come back down to where we started, and now we no longer palm mute, so we're just doing it the 2, 4, 5 on the D string to 2 on the G string. So here we got something a little bit different. It's the same as it was before. And then we go to a D5 power chord. So 5th fret of the A string with your first finger, and then the 7th fret of the D and G string, if you like, with your 3rd finger. So. Okay, and then after you repeat that twice, then you go to an E5 power chord. And that rings out for 2 measures. And then we have this final thing to end the song. So we're on the 2nd fret of the D string with your first finger, to the 5th fret of the G string with your 4th finger, back to the 4th fret with your 3rd finger, and back to the 5th fret, and then end with an A5. So 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So those are all the parts. You can easily identify, it has the intro, it goes into a verse with that little, at the end of the verse, and then I think it just does another verse again, and then it goes into that breakdown part, and then like where the guitar solo section is, and then after the guitar solo section is where it goes into that whole part where it just moves up chromatically. Well, anyhow, if you listen to the song, you'll be able to identify the parts and tell what they are. All right. So if you enjoyed that and you got something out of it, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you have a question about this, or if you have any other guitar-related questions, or if there's anything you'd like to see covered in a future lesson. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss out any of the content that we upload throughout the week. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.